The last thing Marcus ever said about God was a joke. He said it at a dinner table, surrounded by people who laughed with him.
I wasn't expecting
He said it loud, and he said it proud,
perfect.
and he meant every single word of it. He had no idea that 72 hours later, he would be on his knees on a hospital floor, crying out the name of a Jesus he had spent 15 years mocking.
I don't understand
Music
why this
begins,
is happening.
soft,
Can you
slow
please
strings,
explain it to
gentle,
me?
like something waking up. This is that story. Marcus Cole was what you'd call a self-made man, built his own business by 30, bought his own home by 32, married a woman named Claire,
Wow, this is
who loved
so
him
good.
more than he deserved,
I wasn't expecting that.
and raised a little girl named
perfect.
Lily who called him Daddy like it was the best word in the English language. From the outside, Marcus
just
had
don't know what to
everything,
do
but there
anymore.
was something
We
hard
need to
inside
figure
him.
this out.
Something that had been hardening
I don't
for a
understand why this is
long
happening.
time. He
Can
grew
you
up in a
please
home where
explain it
faith
to
was
me?
spoken about on Sundays and forgotten by Monday. His mother prayed. His father didn't. And somewhere between watching his parents' marriage fall apart and burying his younger brother at the age of 19,
Wow, this is so good.
Marcus made a
I
decision.
wasn't expecting that.
A quiet, bitter,
perfect.
soul-level decision. If there is a God, he clearly doesn't care, so Marcus stopped caring back. He didn't
just
become
don't
angry
know what
about
to
it,
do anymore.
not outwardly.
We need to figure
He just
this
became
out.
cold, dismissive,
I don't
the
understand
kind of
why
man
this
who
is
rolled his
happening.
eyes when someone
Can you
mentioned
please
prayer,
explain it to me?
who made cutting little remarks at holiday dinners when someone bowed their head, who forwarded articles mocking faith to his friends with laughing emojis because it made him feel smart. What it actually made him feel
Wow,
was
this
protected,
is so good.
because
I
underneath
wasn't
all that
expecting
armor,
that.
Marcus Cole was
perfect.
terrified. Terrified that if God was real, then everything he'd swallowed down, every unanswered
don't know
prayer,
what to
every
do
loss,
We
every
need to
night he
figure
cried
this
alone at
out.
19 and felt
I
absolutely
don't
nothing come
understand why
back.
this is happening.
All of it would mean
Can you
something.
please explain it to me?
And he wasn't ready for that dot. It was easier to laugh. Claire never pushed him. She prayed quietly. She kept a small Bible on her nightstand that Marcus never touched. She took Lily to church on Sunday mornings while
Wow,
Marcus
this is
slept
so
in.
good.
And
I
she
wasn't
never made him
expecting
feel
that.
guilty about it.
Perfect.
And somehow that made it worse, because you can fight someone who's arguing with you, but you can't fight someone
don't know
who
what to
just
do
loves
anymore.
you. He
We
lived
need
like
to
this
figure
for
this
15
out.
years, and then one
I don't
Tuesday
understand
morning
why
in
this
March,
is happening.
everything
please
stopped.
explain it to
Lily
me?
was 9 years old. She had been complaining about headaches for 2 weeks. Marcus had told Claire it was probably just stress from school. Claire had taken her to the pediatrician anyway, because that's what Claire
Wow,
did.
this is so good.
She listened to the
I
quiet
wasn't
things,
expecting that.
and the pediatrician had
perfect.
referred them to a specialist. And the specialist had ordered an MRI, and now Marcus was sitting in a hospital
don't
waiting.
know what to do anymore.
Room at 7 in the
We need to
morning,
figure
holding
this out.
a paper cup of coffee
I don't
he hadn't
understand
touched.
why this is
The
happening.
doctor
Can you
came out at
please explain it to me?
7:43 a.m. Marcus remembered the exact time because he looked at his watch. While the doctor was still walking toward them, some instinct in him wanting to memorize something normal before the world changed.
Wow, this is
The doctor
so
sat
good.
down.
I wasn't
He used
expecting
calm,
that.
careful words.
Perfect.
He talked about a mass. He talked about the location. He talked about next steps and treatment options,
I just
and the
don't know
importance
what
of
to do
acting
anymore.
quickly.
We
Marcus
need
heard
to
all of
figure
it,
this out.
and he felt absolutely nothing.
I don't
And then
understand
all
why
at
this
once,
is happening.
he felt everything.
please
Claire
explain
reached
it
for
to
his
me?
hand. He couldn't feel her hand. He was somewhere else entirely. He was 19 years old, standing at his brother's grave, watching dirt fall onto a casket, and asking a silent sky why,
Wow, this
and
is
getting
so
nothing
good.
back.
I wasn't
He was a little
expecting
boy
that.
watching his father walk out of
perfect.
a house and not look back. He was every version of himself that had ever reached for something and come
I just
up
don't
empty
know what
dot,
to do
and now his
anymore.
daughter got his
We need to
Lily.
figure this
The drive
out.
home from the hospital, Marcus
I don't
didn't
understand
speak.
why this is happening.
Claire was making phone
Can you
calls
please
to her
explain it
mother,
to me?
to their pastor, to friends. Marcus drove and stared at the road and felt the familiar thing rising in him. That old cold armor. That reflex dot, except this time, it wouldn't close. This time,
Wow, this
the
is so
armor had a
good.
crack in it,
I wasn't
and through that
expecting that.
crack, something
Perfect.
terrifying was coming in. Music returns, quieter than before. Just piano. Just
I
one
just don't
hand.
know what to
It
do
was 2
anymore.
a.m.
We
when
need to
Marcus
figure
found
this
himself in the
out.
kitchen. He didn't
I
remember
don't
getting up.
understand why this is
He
happening.
didn't remember walking
Can you
downstairs.
please explain it to me?
He just found himself there, standing at the kitchen sink, looking out the window at a dark backyard. With no idea what to do with his own hands, he could hear Claire sleeping upstairs. He could hear the house
Wow,
making its
this is
small
so
sounds.
good.
And
I
he
wasn't
could hear
expecting
something
that.
else. Something he
Perfect.
could name. Something he'd been running from for 15 years. A silence so deep it felt like it was
I just
listening.
don't know what
Marcus
to do
Cole,
anymore.
a man who had
figure
laughed at
this
prayers,
out.
who had mocked the idea
I
of a
don't
God who
understand why
cared.
this is happening.
That man put both
Can you
hands on
please
the edge of
explain
the
it to
kitchen
me?
sink, and he bowed his head. He didn't have the right words. He hadn't been saving any up. What came out of him was not elegant. It was not theological. It was not the prayer of a man who had
Wow,
it together,
this is so
Dot.
good.
It was the
I
prayer
wasn't
of a man
expecting
who
that.
had run completely out of
Perfect.
himself. God, he said, and his voice broke on just that one word. Just the name.
I just don't
God,
know what to do
I don't know if
anymore.
you're there.
We need to figure this
haven't-
out.
I haven't talked to you.
I don't understand
I've
why
been
this is
angry at you
happening.
for a long time.
Can you please
and I don't
explain
even
it to
know if
me?
that's fair. I don't know anything anymore. But I have a little girl upstairs and she calls me daddy and I cannot lose her. I can't. I am asking you, I'm begging you, please. Please don't take her.
This is so
please.
good.
He
I
stopped.
wasn't expecting that.
He was crying now.
Perfect.
The kind of crying that a man does when he's been holding it back for 15 years. The kind that shakes your shoulders
I
and
just
makes you
don't
feel
know
8
what to
years
do
old
anymore.
again.
We
And if
need
you're
to
real,
figure this
he
out.
whispered, if you're actually
I
real,
don't understand why
then
this
I
is
need you
happening.
to show me.
Can you please
Because I am
explain it to
so
me?
tired. I am so tired of doing this alone. He stood there for a long time. Nothing dramatic happened. No voice from the sky. No flash of light. Just the kitchen.
Wow,
just the dark
this is
window.
So good.
Just a
I wasn't
broken man with
expecting
wet
that.
cheeks and open hands.
Perfect.
But something had changed. He couldn't explain it then. And he had struggled to explain it later. But
I
the
just
only
don't
word
know
he ever
what to
found
do
for it
anymore.
was this.
We need to
The
figure
room
this
felt different.
out.
Like something
I
that
don't
had been holding
understand
its
why
breath
this is
for
happening.
15 years had
Can you
finally
please explain
slowly
it to me?
exhaled up. The next morning, Marcus asked Claire if he could come to church with her. She looked at him for a long moment, didn't say anything dramatic, just reached up and touched his face with her hand.
Wow, this
And
is
nodded.
so
Dot.
good.
The surgery was scheduled
wasn't
for the
expecting that.
following week. Dot. Marcus
perfect.
sat in that church on Sunday and didn't understand half of what was said and cried through most of the worship.
I just
And the
don't
man
know
next
what
to
do
him,
anymore.
a stranger,
We need to
quietly
figure this
handed him a
out.
tissue without looking at him.
I don't understand why
without
this
making
is
it a
happening.
thing, just
Can
a
you
simple
please
human
explain it to
kindness.
me?
And somehow that undid him completely. He started reading Claire's Bible at night. Not because he had everything figured out, because he had nothing figured out and he was finally willing to admit it. The night
Wow,
before
this is
Lily's
so
surgery, he sat
wasn't
beside her
expecting
bed
that.
while she slept.
Perfect.
He watched her breathe, and he prayed, this time with something different in it. Not just desperation,
I just don't
something
know
that
what to
felt
do anymore.
cautiously
We
like
need
trust.
to figure this out.
Whatever you have planned, he
I
said
don't
quietly,
understand why this is
I'm going to
happening.
believe that you love
Can you
her more
please
than I
explain
do.
it to me?
I don't understand that, but I'm going to believe it. Music swells gently. The surgery took 4.5 hours. The surgeon came out and said the words Marcus had been too afraid to hope for.
Wow,
They had gotten
this is
it all.
so good.
Clean
I wasn't
margins.
expecting that.
Lily was in recovery.
Perfect.
She was going to need monitoring, therapy, follow-up care, but she was okay. She was going to be
I
okay.
just don't know
Marcus
what
put
to
his
do
face in his
anymore.
hands
We need
and
to
wept in a
figure this
hospital
out.
waiting room. And this
I don't
time Claire was
understand why
crying
this is
too,
happening.
and she wrapped her
Can
arms
you
around
please
him.
explain it to me?
And he held on like a man who had just learned what it means to not let go. That was 4 years ago. Lily is 13 now. She has a laugh that fills up whatever room she's in. She plays piano
Wow,
badly
this is
and
so good.
enthusiastically.
I wasn't
And Marcus
expecting
sits
that.
in the living room and listens
Perfect.
every single time like it's a concert at Carnegie Hall. Marcus goes to church. Not because everything in his life is perfect now. It
We
isn't.
need to figure
Not
this
because he
out.
never has doubts. He does.
I don't understand
But
why
because
this is
something happened to
happening.
him on a kitchen
Can you
floor at
please
2 in the
explain
morning.
it to me?
Something real. Something he can't explain away and no longer wants to. He volunteers now at a men's group at their church. Mostly guys who are struggling. Guys who are hardened. Guys who remind him of
Wow,
himself.
this is so good.
He never comes in with a
I wasn't
polished
expecting
speech.
that.
He just tells them what
perfect.
happened. He tells them about the man who mocked, who laughed, who built his walls so high he couldn't
I
see
just
over
don't
them
know
anymore.
what to do anymore.
And then he tells
We
them
need to
about the
figure
kitchen
this
sink,
out.
the broken prayer,
I don't
the
understand
2
why this is
a.m.
happening.
moment when he ran out
Can
of
you please
himself and
explain
found
it to
that the
me?
space he'd been defending so fiercely, the space where God wasn't supposed to exist, had never been empty at all. He was waiting. Marcus says every time. I spent 15 years keeping him out.
Wow, this is so
And he just
good.
waited.
I wasn't expecting that. Perfect.